2 seconds. Just forgot to put my earphones in. Hey guys, hope you can hear me okay. This is the ELSON BROS podcast, episode 6. And this is motivation and how to keep going. Okay, I'm Damion ELSON, Online Presence Strategist and graphic designer. Hope you're well this evening. Thank you for joining, Darren. Hope you're well. Let me bring in my brother Daniel and let's get going. Just inviting you in now, Dan. Just connected.
Yo.
Hi, Dan. Hope you're well. Just get my sound ready, actually. Can you hear me okay?
Hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. How are you doing? You alright?
Alright. Yeah, my headphones are out of order.
Out of order? I don't think it matters too much anyway.
Right, it's good. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
awesome.
I can hear you. I'm sure people can as well. So that's awesome. Fantastic. I just did a small intro of what I'm about. I think people kind of know, I guess now, I'm Online Presence Strategist and graphic designer. This is the ELSON Bros podcast, episode 6, and it's motivation and how to keep going. Go for your introduction, Dan, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, I suppose today's a good one, simply because this week we both struggled for time to do it on the usual slot, but yet we still tried as best to move it to make sure that we did it. I think that kind of goes nicely into today's podcast. Myself, I'm Dan, Damion's brother, and I'm a digital marketer and world traveller. For the last couple of years, I've been travelling the world. Now I'm currently based in Sydney. Back into the digital marketing agency world, which I've worked in for about 7 years now. I'm all about providing value and really helping small businesses, medium businesses, just get out there and really make it.
Yeah, that's cool. Thanks so much for the intro there, Dan. So I've made a few notes based on motivation, I guess, and the things that I'm just going to suggest things that I kind of sometimes that I look at or listen to just to get myself motivated even more on a daily basis. Because at the minute, to be fair, I'm a little bit down. Things are not going to go too well because of my broken arm. So I kind of just using my left arm, which obviously this is, I guess, flipped this live. So whichever arm you'd like to call this is the only arm I'm using right now. And literally it's not even been 2 weeks yet, but it's a little bit annoying, to be fair. So I won't be doing skateboarding for a while. So looking at motivation this week for myself, been doing the usual, as in listening to a podcast show that I actually listen to on Spotify, which is actually Gary Vaynerchuk Experience. So we've mentioned Gary before in our podcasts, but I'm just mentioning him again really because the amount of content that he produces is unbelievable. You know, it's a daily. He does a daily. I guess I don't know if he does a daily podcast, but there's always something on there that's quite new and to listen to, and it just just to listen to someone's more different approaches and stuff like that, it just gets me motivated. So I think there's a bit of sound coming from yours today, Dan. Quite a lot of sound, different noises.
Maybe the road. Yeah, apologies.
All right, okay, no worries. So yeah, it's just so I'm kind of listening to that podcast at the minute, which is kind of I wouldn't say it's a daily one, but it's just when I get a chance to listen to that. And just a few other things that I've done before. I watched TED Talks on YouTube, and actually I subscribe to TED Talks itself. Again, that's based on YouTube. So again, looking at YouTube, looking at people that maybe you might want to follow further. I know I don't know if we've mentioned a few people before, Dan, whether it's Tim Ferriss and stuff like that, but there's certain, I know that you might mention the guy, but, and obviously there's books as well that you can get into if you like reading, if that's your thing. So just a few things there that kind of get me going sometimes, that, when I'm a bit down and thinking, right, let's just get back onto it and get some motivation going. So I don't know what your takes are on that, Dan, or what you kind of like to suggest or recommend.
Yeah, I can't believe Gary Vee's got another show and another format. That's interesting. I didn't know that it was on Spotify as well. Obviously, he's got his Gary Vee show. You see him on Snapchat, Instagram. We've noticed that a lot of his content is always leading to something. There's always a purpose behind it. Yeah. He's either giving you a little bit of a tip, just so that you're interacting with his brand, or he's directing it to, his latest show, or whatever it might be. He's got competitions running, obviously just for user interaction and all this kind of thing. So yeah, today's topic, I suppose, it's just the way that you've got to see it when you want to do these kind of things. You've got to see it as a business, and it's difficult. We're both doing the same thing in terms of, it really is difficult. You've got to treat it as a business. You've got to make sure that you've put in the time and effort and energy in it, even more so than your day job. And yeah, it's difficult to keep it up. I think it's all about managing your time and managing it correctly. There's an awful lot of stuff that I do on a daily basis in terms of, notepad, like we said last time, writing all your actions out, and then ticking them off. I also do priority order as well. So is it number one? Is it number two? What's going to get me to the next stage? So I think it's all about kind of planning and keep going forward and keep getting little wins. There's plenty of books out there about how to move forward and motivation and all this kind of thing. And yeah, TED Talks and all that is really good. You have to make sure that you're striking the balance where you're watching stuff and yet you're creating. I'd say you need to be more on the creative side, but as long as it's 50-50, that's good as well. But I struggle to get into to start. It's difficult. Your mind, I suppose, is over the matter, as the saying is, and it's a difficult one. But you need to keep pushing forward. You need to just get into the swing of it, like you would do in your job. You don't. Most people probably don't really want to go to the job, but once they're there and get into it, then you get into it. So I think, yeah, motivation, it's a tricky one. And there's so much, I think, when you look at stuff, especially if you're starting out, or if you just want to keep moving forward in your business and you're at, medium business size, there's so much out there and it gets very confusing. But sometimes it's good to kind of say, well, look, I don't know this, or, that's not my strengths. And then that's when you need to employ somebody, or you need to get help, or you need to get a coach, whatever it might be. At that point, you're like, look, I can't find everything out myself. Mm-hmm. I ain't got time to experiment and make mistakes and get better and use the process. I think sometimes you've got to speed it up and get to the next place quicker. That's always a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, further to what I've kind of recommended there, I do take, so when I listen or watch something, I actually take it in on board for myself than anything. Right. So how can I apply that myself? Or, I actually make notes of things that I'm listening to and how their behavior is, if you like, not just a case of, I guess, just a fan of listening, kind of thing of thinking, right, I can take this, I can take elements of this and actually apply it to what I'm doing, what we're doing, and actually share that. And so I kind of get motivated by the fact that I can actually apply that, to what I'm doing, my daily kind of thing. So yeah, it's just things like that. I just always kind of say to people, kind of never give up, because you've just always got to keep learning. And I always try and tell people to learn at least one thing a day. That's something new that they've not, something new. Learn something new each day as it comes. So that's kind of thing what I'm looking at going forwards, really. But yeah, it's just it's an interesting topic. Hopefully, we can get a few people asking questions, even if they're going to watch the replay. I've noticed that there's not many people live tonight. Obviously, probably because that his regular slot was Tuesday in the UK at 10 p.m. So they kind of probably were expecting it at that time, really. Considering we've had 5 episodes doing that, so. But thanks so much for everyone coming in so far and viewing and just checking it out and liking and joining us so far. If you've got any questions or if you've got anything that you can share with us by your motivation, it'd be awesome, But so how are things with you, Dan? Sorry, how's things gone this week?
Super busy week, and that's I suppose the major challenge, that when you are having a busy week doing other things, you have to somehow slot it in. You somehow need to still be motivated. That you need to sit down and grind and get it out and do it. It's a difficult one, but you just need to make sure that you've got that drive. You treat everything as a business, like you would do. It's not just a hobby, and I think that's what people mean by always picking something, not necessarily that might take off, or not necessarily something that is trendy, but something that you're passionate about, simply because there will be days, there will be weeks where you just simply don't want to do it. You simply just don't feel like you've got the energy or the drive. But if you're really passionate about it, that's the type of stuff, like, where you view it as like a hobby, but really you can't. You got to view it as a business, and ways that you can make money out of it. And once you start seeing money, once you start seeing progress, just like personal development, and going back to your point, Damion, about kind of getting better every day, 1% increases is all I aim for every day. And all right, some days you can't do it, but if you aim every day that you learn something, you improve by 1%, then all of a sudden over a week it's 7%, over a month it's 30%. So all of a sudden over a period of time you're suddenly getting better and better, and that's where you can, you get the motivation to keep moving forward. I've been going to gym here in Sydney for the last, I don't know, about 14 weeks now, not missed a week, but it's every week where you pretty much nearly every week moving up on a weight where it's that motivation where, because you're getting a little bit of feedback, you're like, right, next one, and you got to keep pushing, you got to keep going, and that's the most important thing. Process and putting that effort in. I think it's all like sometimes you don't want to put 100% effort in, but look, I always think if you're going to do something, you got to do it well, and I apply that in everything I do in life. Put 110% effort into it. These people. It's a shame that media always concentrate on the end final result, not the grafting thing. You look at somebody like The Rock and you're like, wow, like he's world's richest movie star or whatever. And you're like, ooh. And some people look at him and be jealous, or some people look at him and think, well, how come he's got that? He's not that talented. And you're like, well, you haven't really seen his journey from what he's come from, and
the work he's put in.
Yeah, and sometimes it's difficult. Like when you see a lot of these people who are at this pinnacle, and the press, saying, oh, look how amazing they are, but they're actually at the pinnacle because they've come from somewhere which is very much below 0 out of 10, and they've pushed through it, and they've kept going and kept going and kept going and kept working on the craft, and eventually they get there, and The Rock's filming 10 different films at once. So, you look at that and you think, well, he deserves everything he's doing, and he keeps getting better at everything, he keeps learning. When Arnold Schwarzenegger first went to the US, he took language classes. People probably won't even believe that, but he took language classes, took acting classes, he took ballet classes, everything to give him that extra 1% edge, that extra motivation to keep moving forward. And if you keep doing stuff, you're going to eventually get there. And I think, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
You
It's
know,
that
it's
process,
difficult.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a learning process
yeah,
of, I mean,
yeah.
no one can ever be perfect. And we can always just keep learning, I guess, from his mistakes and just keep moving forward from what we do, you know.
Yeah.
It can be difficult at times, and you can feel like, you know, what's going to come. But if you keep learning from what you're doing, then you're going to keep going forwards. And that's all that all these top people do. You know, they just keep going and keep at it and keep adding different processes, I guess, and keep learning different ways of doing stuff. And from then, you just become this stronger person or stronger entity, if you like, and people look up to you for what you are then, and they get it. And hopefully they learn from that.
I always go back to Bruce Lee, who used to say, you know, bring bits from everybody and learn from everybody, and then add what's unique to yourself, and then you're creating that person who can be motivated, who can keep moving forward, who can keep getting better. So it's like whatever you're working on at the moment, you know. First of all, we'd really like, as part of our motivation, I guess, is really like any kind of feedback from anybody who's taken what you've learned so far over the last 5 weeks. There's quite a lot of content here. Probably nearly 5 hours worth of content now out here on YouTube, on Facebook replays, and we want to know. We want to know if you've taken anything, if you've used it. That's the problem. Like, if you just watch it and you're passive, it's just equivalent of watching TV, which is, you know, I understand, you know, you got to relax and have a bit of free time, but if you're just watching TV every night for 4 hours, then you're not going to get anywhere.
No.
You're just being passive. So really want to know, like...
if you've been motivated, if you've been motivated from what we've said,
where you've got to... what you've done with the information, you know, when we had this SEO one, did you take that on board? Have you contacted anybody? Have you got guest posts going on?
Even if you've took one action,
and that's what it's all about. And I think it's just having that constant journey, constant ways to get better. And we really, like I say, you know, from our motivation point of view, just to see that we doing, you know, we're putting our value out there. We keep getting emails and people are asking us to do audits and all this kind of thing, which is really good. You know, it's really good from our side of things, but people are recognizing, realizing that, you know, our combined effort and talent and experience, because we've been on this journey as well, that we've got enough to share and we want to put out there. And absolutely, it's just difficult. You know, I understand. Today for me, it's Friday morning, and it's kind of like, you know, we're at the weekend now. I've been working on, like, wow, what do I want to do? Like, do I really want to start working on my business, my website, and this and that? But I know as soon as I get into it, then I'm into it, you know. It's just, I use the same mentality in the gym. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm knackered, I don't want to go. I'm like, you know what? Just go, right? You know, just go through the motions and try it and see what happens. And 9 times out of 10, it's normally them sessions where you actually progress next, weirdly enough. It's them sessions where you go and you're just like, oh, I didn't realise I'd basically done it. And I've put loads of effort into it as well. And it's a funny one, but see, it's all going back to the fact that you've got to want it. You've got to want it a lot. And it just depends.
See, I get that from... This might sound a bit funny, but I almost get that motivation from actually taking my kids to the park and their enjoyment after it. You know, and that's motivated me just to go, wow, I've took them to the park. Because sometimes you think, oh, you know, I've got work on and stuff like that, and I'll do it in a minute, And actually, I'd never done it, you know, that kind of thing. So I've took the action and I took them to the park and I've seen how happy they are. And then I've come back and just said, that's given me, you know, the motivation to say, right, I can do this again and again, and look how much satisfaction you get from that. So it can be the smallest thing, but you can get so much more out of it.
Absolutely, it's a funny one. It's just, I suppose it's the you know, what I tend to do is like pick a few people who who kind of motivate me, who interest me, who I always end up learning something from them. So I always watch Joe Rogan podcasts. So most people probably won't know who Joe Rogan is, but he's a UFC commentator, he's a stand-up comedian. He basically does loads of stuff. He's an American dude, and he's on his like 1,000 podcast now, and you can just see the difference, the journey he's been on from episode 1 to episode 1,000. And you can see every time he's trying to get better, every time he's trying to do something or ask the more difficult question or whatever. And I always find that really motivating. I also see other clips on YouTube, other people, like personal development type people. And yeah, it kind of gives me that it gets me fired up. So for you, it might be music, it might be a podcast, it might be a TV show. Just get you fired up, ready for action. And yeah, it's all about putting it in. You know, you've got to pick your battles. You've got to pick, right, what's going to take me forward. And yeah, you know, I again, going back to these lists, I write it all out and I'm like, right, what's going to move me forward? Like, I know that's an easy task to do, but is he really going to do that much? Well, no. It's going to, you know, out of 10, it's 1 out of 10. Yeah. Whereas this difficult one, where it's, I've got to ring somebody, or I've got to send an email, which is a cold email, or, you know, I've got to put myself out there, or whatever it might be. I've got to film something, or, you know, actually spend 10 minutes thinking about, like, an image, whatever it is, blog post. I've got to look at it and think, right, what's going to push me forward? What is actually going to take me to that next level? Like, and it's all right having all these 5 easy things to do. And nobody wants to do the hard things, but it's the hard things which take you forward. It's the hard things which do actually end up motivating you most. You know, because most people don't want that awkward conversation. But the way I look at it is, it's like, look, to have that awkward conversation, to put yourself in that situation, guess what? You're going to learn something. You're going to get better for next time. And it might be awkward, but you know what? Just do it and try it and you know how to deal with it next time. So yeah,
that's across the whole board of things. That
I just love to go for the difficult things, to mix it up, and you think, right, you know, look, if every day is too good and everybody likes you, to be honest, you're not really going to get anywhere. So you just got to go for it. And most people will, anybody who actually really matters, will actually look at you and think, you know what, you know, they end up respecting you more. I always said, you know, and I've been in a number of different agencies now and different companies, ones which I've quit twice, of my own doing, and I always look at it when I start a new one, but look, you know, kind of respect is more important. You know, I'm not there to be people's friends, but, you know, obviously get on with people, but, you know, at the end of the day, I've got to do what I think's best, you know, and you know, some people don't like that or whatever, but I just think that's what you got to do. And yeah, in life it's the same. You know, you've got to plan it out. You've got to be prepared to put the hours in. You're like, what you know, if you're saying, right, I want financial freedom, I want my own business, I want it not to, you know, I don't want my life dictated by somebody else or by business, then what you're doing to get there, like if at the weekend, on Friday night, Saturday night and Sunday, you're not working on that, right, and you're going to leave it to, like, you know, a Wednesday night, you know, you got to count the hours. Like, if you're only going to put 2 hours into it, that's not going to happen. You know, what can you do to make it move it forward? You know, is it get up early on a Saturday morning? Is it grinding Saturday night? You know, is it, you know, signing up for an Uber driver, which is like, what did we look at it, Damion? It's like 5 hours a week you've got to do. You've got to have like a 5-year-old car, but great. Well, get one because you can put you know, you can get the tax back because you can put it down as an expense. So there's a number of things that you can do. You know, for me, Uber's an easy one. Every time I get an Uber in Sydney, I understand that Sydney, it's a big city, but every time I get one here, I'm like, oh, when's your busiest hours? I'm like, oh, Monday, like in the morning, you know, school run and people going to work. Same, like, after work, school run. And most of them, like, they'll work in the morning in a pocket, then they'll have all the afternoon free where they work on their own businesses, or they'll work on something which is better in them, or they go to the gym, or whatever it might be, and then they do it again in the afternoon. And then...
do it in their own time, it's amazing.
The most important one is like a Friday and Saturday night. So they said, most people will want to work them hours, so they're working at like 11 p.m. to like 5 a.m. when everybody's out. And instead of spending money and hell of a lot of money over here, they're out and it was like, oh, we can make like $1,000 over the weekend. And I'm like, yeah, over 10 hours, and it's the hours you don't want to work. I understand. But that's the same for everybody else. So you've got to do it. Sometimes you got to do, like I said, do the stuff that you don't really want to do, stuff that's awkward, annoying, or playing right. You know, you're like, no, I don't want to do it. Just do it and see what happens. When you start seeing that $1,000 coming in, and you can reinvest that into your business. That's what it's all about. You know, don't take that money and go, ooh, party time for me. Let's buy a new whatever. No, use $1,000, put in Facebook ads, use Instagram ads. You know, use it to start a course or buy a book or whatever. You know, use it to better yourself, move forward and get better. You know,
it's there's so many opportunities out there. Yeah,
crazy. And like everything that's taken off over here, like Deliveroo, Uber Eats, the other one, forgotten it, beginning with an F. That they're everywhere. People on the bikes, they're on scooters. It's everywhere. You know, every time I walk somewhere, I see a link. Yeah, so it's crazy. Like stuff to do everywhere. People are always seeing what you can do, and you know, it's all going back to it's convenience. I'm paying for time on Uber. It's more expensive. Well, it's not generally more expensive, but sometimes you know they put the costs up, or you get stuck in traffic, or whatever it is.
But it's convenient for yourself.
Yeah, guys, you realise this really early doors, right? They're selling time. It's like McDonald's. When McDonald's first started, right, everybody who looked at McDonald's thought they sold hamburgers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
who's going to buy an hamburger?
No, but that wasn't their business model. Their business model was real estate. So that's what it was. So what they sold was real estate. They sold somebody a dream of owning their own McDonald's franchise and bought everything from them, used the name, used to set up the process. But they rented the land from McDonald's. So McDonald's owned tons of land in America. So what they were doing is they'll go ground rent on that plot of land there because it's prime real estate. You know, you're near this motorway or you're near the city or you're in the city, whatever it is, McDonald's own that land. So McDonald's can dictate what you pay for that land. So they found out very early on that they were not in the hamburger business like everybody, especially their competitors thought they were. They were in the real estate business, and that's how they made all their money. And that's how they continue to make the money. So it's an interesting one where you look at kind of really what is the business you're in and where you can take that. Uber is all about time. And weirdly enough, all these deliveries for fancy restaurants, it's all about time, you know. Who has time to go to the restaurant? Amazing. But who's got time to go pick it up? Who's got time? Nobody. So I'll pay extra because this is the best time we've ever been alive, ever. Anybody, ever. Best time ever. Yeah. So I'll pay a premium to get it delivered to me, so I don't have to go out of my house. And you're like, I suppose you speak to older generations, speak to our dad about it, and he'd be like, I don't understand. Like, you just go. Like,
people do it.
It's a good
thing.
You go out for But no, it's about time.
I'm speaking from
time. That's what it is. Our generation.
I'm speaking from experience as well.
I
know exactly. I know exactly what you're saying. You know, from my second business, Sweety Guy. You know, people. You wouldn't have thought that people would like sweets delivered to the door, but I bring in a smile to the face after our day's work. They've worked, and I'm bringing some sweets to the door. You know, that the simple process of that. You know, it's bringing people a smile, and they literally don't have to move anywhere. It's just like having a takeaway, like you were saying there. You know, saving people time, and I do it for the fact that people are happy and they're smiling about it. You know, so it's a really good thing for what I do, but it's something I only do on an evening at the minute, so it's not taking off just yet, but it will get there. Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing with Sweety Guy is waiting until a truck goes past. The interesting thing about your Sweety Guy business is that, you know, there's an awful lot of of ways that you can get the sweets. So, for example, you do the home delivery thing, which is like a takeaway, which is like Uber Eats or whatever it is. And
Yeah,
set
exactly.
for the week. You also can deliver to workplaces. So that's kind of how the idea started, I suppose. Very number of years ago was, you can come to their workplace, and that's, perfect when you're at work and you're a bit bored or a bit tired or no motivation. Then a bag of sweets just gets you a bit rolling. Yesterday they opened a box of biscuits at work, and I've never seen people move so quickly in my life. And all it was a box of biscuits, like $2.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and you think $2, right? It didn't cost company $2. Everybody
No,
just
no.
went, phew. And
Yeah.
biscuits were gone in the second. Then you just
That's
think,
what people love it.
yeah,
People love it.
Costa. Yeah, it's just the convenience. It's just the
Mm.
that makes your day up. You don't want the same day every day. I don't know about anybody else, but that really does me in. Like every day is different. But going back to Sweety
Yeah.
Guy, you also do the Sweety Guy monthly subscribe box. So that's like
Yeah.
you get a mystery box every month delivered to your house. I mean, what
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
way to keep your kids happy? What better way to keep everybody happy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something.
Weekend as well.
Yeah.
Like,
I've done that locally as
perfect thing to
well,
do.
and it worked
Yeah,
locally as well. That I've done a surprise box for a few people, and they've got
yeah,
super excited about it because I kind of thrown in a few little surprises that I didn't even know they were getting. If you know what I mean,
yeah,
on top, it's like, wow,
yeah,
we've never had one of them. But, like sherbet dips or what
yeah,
else were there? Maybe like refreshers or something like. When you grew up as a kid and you went, oh, and then just go, oh wow, I've not had that for ages, and it's just like. Is that special element that it touches people even more than the sweets. I mean, the
yeah.
sweets do it because they don't know what they're getting, but just this added extra putting as well, which they love as well. So that's something to think about, especially for any business, for any client. To look after you, to look after certain people that to acknowledge, as a customer. So. But
Well,
yeah, it's
everybody needs that motivation, don't they? So that's
yeah.
always a good thing, You just named everything you cannot get in Sydney. But yeah,
Yeah.
them surprise boxes. Like, I think we were kind of in a very unique situation growing up. We had pretty much 2 garages full of sweets, so we got to try like every single different type of sweet possible. But most people,
Yeah.
like, for me, if I'm going into a shop or whatever. And I'm like, right, I want to buy some sweets, and I'm like, right, what sweets do I want to buy? Like cost value, and obviously I just want to make sure I'm going to enjoy it. So like 9 times out of 10, I'm like, do I want to risk buying something I've never tried before? Knowing full well, like
Yeah.
you might be that type of person who goes for the risk thing or the adventure all the time, and I tried to be, but. If I'm like, look, I don't eat sweets ever, but I really want some, like, which ones? And I'm like, right, go for the fizzy mix because I know I like them, or go for the wine gums because I know I like them. So, like, having a sweetie box, a mystery sweetie box, you'd be amazed, you get stuff, you're like, ooh, what's this? And all of a sudden you might find a new favourite. So it's a good one, and yeah, it's all about that, going back to that motivation factor, even if it is just a sweet, motivate you to go to the next level, or like I'll just have one and then let's get going.
Yeah.
It's all about that.
Saz has got a comment there. She's put, we sent sweeties to people who offered to share our leaflets. They got a nice surprise when they opened the package with leaflets and chocolates. Yeah, that's really good, Saz. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they remember for what you do, what you did, and that's your brand identity, putting it out there, brand awareness. They're going to remember you for what you did there. But yeah, it's just a element of surprise and just a different approach to doing things, really. But yeah, it's about motivating, again, a motivation. Motivating people that you associate with, and just by talking about it, and sharing that experience, that it has motivated me a bit more now to to keep going. But it's just like certain elements of, like, I've obviously brought my arm now, so it's just like, well, I can't now deliver I can't deliver these sweets to people. So what I've done is I've not just sat in my head in the sand. I've actually thought, well, what can I do actually in my area? So I've actually approached Facebook groups, which are local to me, and said, look, you know, Sweety Guy in the area, which I've done before in the past, but more so I've made more of an emphasis on just my local area. And from that, I've got 2 customers this week from doing that, you know, so it's just a case of being patient and still motivate yourself, even if you're out of action. You know, you can still do it. So it was a 15-minute walk, but I still delivered 16 bags of sweets to you know, surprise bags of sweets to somebody in my local area. So there were that element, and also it's a bit more noise from you guys. You're quiet again, Dan, but it's all right. But also, you know, there's been another way. I've been looking at ways of doing things online as well. So I've looked at Facebook Live more. So people, what they're actually using Live for. So I've actually been researching into that. It's a bit more noise from you, Dan. There's a lot of lorries going on now. But yeah, so basically I've been watching people live more on my desktop. And I don't know if you know about that, but you can actually watch people that are live generally down the left-hand side. If you go further down under your shortcuts, and I think further underneath, and you'll see a little tab saying live, Facebook Live kind of thing, a little video, and you just click on that, and you can see a whole map of the world. And I've just been like zooming in, obviously, on Great Britain and of my area of Great Britain, and I've been watching certain ones. And it's almost a research on what people are doing. You know, I just like to, you know, I obviously want to practice on what people are good at and what concepts. So I've been looking at concepts. So again, that's motivated me to kind of create my own group based on what these lives I've been watching. So obviously there's people that have actually creating. So there's one instance where they've created, I don't know if anybody knows this, but people are using oyster pearls. So they're getting the oyster shells and actually opening them live. And because each oyster is really tiny and they're individual in each oyster shell you get, people are actually watching and waiting to see which pearls come out of. And then they're going to go, and then they're saying, oh, I want that pearl on this piece of jewellery. And so what they'll do is they'll put that to the side and say, right, so-and-so wants that one, and now order it on my website. So it's that easy and that simple of a process, strategy behind that video. And they're doing it at midnight. So they're doing this at midnight. So that's one thing that I've been watching and learning. And then there's other ones where I've watched people like playing games. They create their own games, and they're actually, people are paying. It's almost like, it reminds me back of when you used to watch Catchphrase or Bullseye or, I don't know, you know, Family Fortunes and stuff like that, when on the Saturday night you used to watch bloody game shows on TV. And it just reminds me of that, but this is more of a personal level. So you're getting people watching you across, maybe, it's more very personal, and people are loving it, and they keep coming in and keep coming in and keep buying a ticket or buying a number, buying a raffle. And they just keep going because they're really excited to see if they're going to win. And if they don't win, then they move on to the next one and they see if they're going to win the next prize. And I really like that element. And I think you're going to see a lot more of those kind of shows because of when Facebook bring out, I think it's called Facebook Watch, which is TV shows. I think Facebook is going to smash it against all different entertainment channels. So really exciting stuff, you know, and so many different concepts that you can create and get people entertained. So if you think about Ant and Dec and X Factor and stuff like that, there is going to be big shows like that on Facebook.
Yeah, it's crazy where it's going to go. I suppose this is the first time in our history we've ever had the opportunity like this, and we just don't know what's going to come next. And you know, one-to-one relationships like this, you know, we've mentioned before, but when the fact that you're at the other side of the world in a total different time zone, total different day to me. You're on Thursday, I'm on Friday. And it's crazy where this is possible, where this is feasible, where we can have this conversation with people all around the world, and have the interaction. It's the first time we could do this, and I always think it's important, right? I always think, right, it's important for you to be on your way, your strategy. Keep pushing forward, keep doing what you want to do, and keep doing what you think's right in terms of your strategy going forward, especially for your business and for your life. I think you've got basically two pillars going forward, and I think that's important. But I also think it's important that sometimes you've got to sit back and you've almost got to do a compare review. I wouldn't say you should be competing with other people. You compete with yourself and compete with your own business. That's how it should be. Always look to get better, not better than him or her or better than them, but how can you get better? But
yourself,
sometimes you need to sit back and say, right, let's do a compare review and look at what other people are doing. What are they doing well? What are they doing poorly for a start? And where can you improve on that? You're like, right, okay, this column, they're doing X, Y, and Z, so they're doing these live videos. Cool, they're taking live to the next level. They're being very creative about it. They're getting a lot of engagement. Cool, okay, well, that's really good. Well, they're not doing so well. Okay, cool. And how can I improve that and use that within my strategy moving forward? And I always see that, it's all about competing against yourself. Just make yourself better and make your environment better. Make your world better, and then you're going to create your own reality where you want to go. I want to get to here, and the thing is, it's not like I get to here and I'm going to be happy. That ain't going to work. That's what happens with like movie stars, celebrities, and stuff. They all think, when the fame and the money comes, then I'll be happy. Well, no, and that's why unfortunately a lot of them get to this. The upsetting areas in the life where people are like, well, how can you be there when you've got all this money? You should be happy. I'm never happy anyway. So it's all about look, my reality. I want to create my reality and keep pushing forward, and perhaps you never get to that point, which that's if you ever get to a goal, then maybe it wasn't far enough, or maybe like how do you move it forward? That's the ultimate thing. Going back to motivation, it is a tricky one, but compete against yourself. But it's always good to sit back, and that thing about the Facebook Live's proper cool. Like you can zoom in around the world and watch people and see what's going on. And I love it on Instagram stories. I'm like going through it, and I've noticed so if you click on somebody's face, you can scroll across, and it goes through all them, and a lot of people have tens, hundreds, and all this kind of thing.
I don't
press it.
Yeah. Yes. You're going to say that.
It skips to the next dude, which is quite good. If it's people that you're not really that interested in, don't be wasting your time flicking through it or thinking, just watch it. Tap it, and it'll go to the next dude.
And
so I've been
my daughter involved. My daughter Mia, she actually taught me this: the fact that if you just hold on to it, it slows it down. So you can so you don't miss it, if you know what I mean. Because some of them are really quick out there. So if you slow it down, you can slow it down by keeping hold on to it. You just keep hold on to it. You can still. So obviously, if it's text and stuff like that, you want to kind of read it before it goes. I mean, you can go back to it, can't you, and start it again, but you can actually slow it down, which is really, really cool. That's a really good thing.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that's. Tell you what kids find out,
unbelievable.
Yeah, wow, pause. So you've got your double tap to jump to the next dude. You've got a cross to go to the next one. You've got a pause button. So I've been starting using them quite a bit. So you can follow me on Instagram if you're not already, which is I am Dan Elson. And I love doing it. I think it's really cool. You can do all these different filters. You can add and edit stuff, and you can film and all this kind of thing. It's all about
I find that you get a lot of views on that as well. So how's your time done anyway? I know we've getting on.
Not bad. I was just about to say as well on Instagram, if you've got your own business and you've got your own Instagram page, then if you want to, you can turn it into a business page. Now, the benefits of a business page, there's some disadvantages, but the benefit of a business page is that you can get insights onto your images, videos, whatever you post, lives. You can get insights, so you can go into the insights. You can see how people liking you per hour. You can see the male-female split. You see age groups. You even see how many people are seeing your your Instagram likes, like your Instagram lives. So absolutely a must. Like if you're not sure how to do it or whatever, then you can ask us.
Yeah.
We'll help you
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If you're not quite certain, like how to use these social media platforms, there's so many. It's difficult. It's difficult to identify where your customers are, the ones that you should be using. That's always the big question mark. I suppose you can't be everywhere. No, everything should be, because that's when you get burnout. That's when you lose your motivation. You're
Yeah.
like, "Ugh, like it's too much going on, and you just lose it completely. And it's difficult, but you just concentrate on one or two, and get really good at it, and get really creative, and do weird creative stuff. The Sweety Guy quiz that you're on about, like, yeah, wow, like I can't wait until the next one to watch
Yeah.
it and see what's going on.
Yeah.
And if anybody's got any awesome ideas, then let's do it. Let's try it and see what
Yeah.
happens. And just that's what it's all about, But just being on that path, keep getting motivated, keep moving forward. And yeah, like if you need some help along the way, if you want to kind of speed up, accelerate your progress, accelerate your learnings, that's where like coaches and training and training programs and one-to-one calls and all this kind of stuff comes into play.
Yeah.
Because it gets you there quicker and thus your motivation, because you're moving quicker. It's when you first start lifting weights, you go up every week. When you get to a bit, it's like that little 1% every time. It's like a little increase every time. So yeah, it's a struggling one, but yeah, you need to keep going. I'm just reading Sazio. You mentioned
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
about Facebook Messenger bot. Yeah, really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Keep hearing podcasts about messenger bots and how it's gonna how businesses are really looking into these. I'd be interested to know what you're doing there.
Yeah.
Let us know. It'd be awesome to get a video maybe, or just a bit of talk from yourself in terms of what you're doing with these bots.
Definitely. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
finding really interesting, like the logic behind them and how they work and what they could probably do for your business. I like the one-to-one marketing world. That's what I want to do. I want to have that personal communication with everybody. And the weird thing is, even though that the world is the world now, and you can talk to everybody, that's getting easier and better and more convenient, quicker. And yeah, a bot is, you're talking to a bot, you're not talking to a live person, but if you
Yeah.
want some information quick, I've heard about like H&M, the clothing store, have started using bots. And it's more like, so they'll ask you personal questions about what your style is, what your inspiration is, all this kind of thing. And then eventually, if you answer like, I'm not sure, no, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that, then they introduce you to one of their influencers
Stylist.
bots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I
then one
like
of
it.
their influencers on Instagram will go, "Oh, I'm sorry that you're struggling to really understand what your style is, blah blah blah. This is my style. This is the stuff that I like to buy from H&M
Yeah.
and style up." And I'm like, yeah, like what other better personal one-to-one marketing experience can you have there?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? They're talking to you, they want to know what you want, and then they want to deliver that to you. Like
Yeah.
you're not going to go anywhere else, you're going to buy it off them.
And the
So yeah,
end
that's
result, someone's gonna, and then they're gonna buy it, end aren't they?
yeah,
Because you've been that person on that, I guess. Um,
yeah.
It's spent time with you personally, so you're gonna go,
Yeah.
well, yes, please. Yeah, I
So
love it. Yeah.
just
So,
to end, we're getting up to for me
yeah,
getting
go
up
for
to
it.
8 a.m.
Yeah.
So just to kind of end and summarize up, I suppose yeah, motivation is it's a tricky one. But personally, I think sometimes it's always good to perhaps get Facebook Live, do a video, do a podcast, do a blog, classic blog article, whatever it might be. Let us know. Let me and Damion know. Like, we
Yeah.
want to hear from, like, if these videos have been helpful, if these podcasts have been helpful, what have you learned? What have you done? Give us some case
That
studies
gives
of what
sense.
you've tried and what
Yeah.
and kind of what you've learned. It's not failure. It's just an improvement for next time. So,
Yeah.
what have you tried? What didn't work? What has worked? We want to know. Definitely want to know, Saz, about your little lead magnets through chatbots. I want to see
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on there. I'm really interested in that. So yeah, let's find out what
And
you've been up to.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to end with basically, if whoever's watching, and if you're watching replay or you're watching on YouTube or you're just watching this live now, if you've ever got any questions, if you want us to answer live on your online marketing, fire them over, messengers us anytime. You can just get us here now. You can add us now in Facebook. And you can ask us lots of questions. And what we're going to do is we are looking at a library of questions, if you like, and we're going to answer these going forwards as well in these episodes. Not sure of the format yet, Dan, but I think, maybe every month or so we might do Q&As or something like that. So where we're just answering questions and we're giving both our takes on the question.
Yeah.
I think that might be a good format to have. So if you have questions, fire them over, and we will add them to us library, because we've already got quite a few in there already. We just want you to ask away, and whether it's creative or whether it's I keep forgetting what your industry. It's more search for terms, isn't it? Really. Data driven, that kind of thing, digital marketing. So the overall online marketing, that's what we're about. So we're here to help. So yeah, that's it. So thanks, Dan. Thanks for your time. And have a good day.
Mark.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
Right. See you guys. Thanks so much for joining.
You can follow us, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you want to do. Email us and find us on our websites.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Cheers, guys. See you. Bye. Cheers.